Hi, everybody. My name is Jaden Hope, and welcome to the third episode of Real Life Barbies, my interview series where I share my conversations with well rounded women so that you guys can learn with me about these individuals and how they're doing everything that they're doing now. If you guys have any specific questions that I do not ask, you can feel free and comment them down below, and we'll do our best to get to them at the very end. Today, I get to speak with the one and only Marlie Wright, who many of you may recognize as your Miss California's Teen 2023. I know that this episode will be so helpful for the sisters of mine who are also competing for the title later this summer. I'm very excited to meet you all. So yeah, before we get the questions started, you can briefly introduce yourself.
Okay, sounds good. So, hello, I am Marlie Wright, and I am forever Miss California's Teen 2023. I'm currently a sophomore at the University of San Diego, and I'm a double major in political science and biology, and I also have a French minor. So, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to chat
Yes,
today.
me as well. I'm so excited. I'm like hardcore fangirling right now.
Oh.
But I'm playing cool. I'm playing cool. Okay, so let's just dive in with the first question, talking about the start of your pageant journey. How did you get into pageants, and more specifically, the Miss America organization?
Sure. So I started pageants when I was 13 back in my hometown of Oceanside, California. I initially just started doing a local one in my hometown just because I wanted to learn to public speak better. And I learned that through the process, I really loved the girls that I was getting to interact with. I loved
Mhm.
my very first director, who's become now a very close mentor. So that was how I got my start. And then with my last year of teen eligibility, my senior year of high school, I found out that Miss San Diego had a local that would go to Miss California. And so I decided to give it a shot and I won and I had the opportunity to go to Miss California and then the rest is history and I became Miss California's Teen 2023.
That's so that's so fun. Out of curiosity, what was the first title you competed for?
My very first title in my hometown was Miss Teen Oceanside.
Oh,
So that's
okay.
like its own thing in my
Yeah.
hometown. And my very first Miss America title was Miss San Diego's Teen.
Oh, wow. Awesome. Okay, so what was your preparation process like for Miss California's Teen, and what was the most difficult thing you had to overcome throughout the process?
So this all happened during my senior year of high school. I won Miss San Diego's Teen in January, and I was graduating in June and going to Miss California in June. So it was a really busy 6 months, but it was a lot of work on my talent. I hadn't had to do a talent before, so it kind of took me a minute to decide what I wanted to do. I ended up writing what's now my infamous herstory that I'm so incredibly proud of. So I did a lot of work with my acting coach on that, thinking about what I wanted my audience to feel, what I wanted them to take away from it. And then I think the challenge was trying to balance that with school. A lot of fun things were happening. We had grad night and prom. So I kind of had to keep in the back of my head that my job wasn't quite done
Yeah.
yet. I had a lot more in store. So balancing that with the fun graduation celebrations of my senior year was fun.
Yes. Oh my gosh. As a junior, second semester junior, like heading to the end, it's quite the struggle.
Yes.
But we're
Oh, for
doing good.
sure.
We're practicing time management. I'm reminding myself that this is building my character.
Yes, absolutely.
So yeah. Why do you think you were chosen to be Miss California's Teen, and what do you think differentiated you from your competitors?
I want to preface first with the 26 other young women that I competed with were extraordinary. So it was a very big moment for me to be the one chosen to represent my state and those 26 young women at Miss America. I think that I was chosen because of my authenticity. I knew that going into this was going to be something where I wanted to put my best self on stage. And I did exactly that every time I was in front of the judges, every time I was on stage. And I think that's what I'm most proud of is even though I did win the opportunity to go to Miss America, I think that my true self shined through and I was able to show that I wanted to treat this as a job,
Yeah.
not just a title. And I think that's what I did throughout my year.
Yes. Because she's the goat. Yes. Absolutely.
Aw.
Absolutely. Yes. How has the Miss America organization transformed your life?
It has changed my life in every aspect possible, from knowing that I now know someone in every state because of Miss America to knowing people across the state in California. It has brought the most special people into my life. I always say that I'm the luckiest to get to work with the board of directors and the volunteers. I would not be here without them. But also, it's taught me a lot about taking the initiative, learning to develop my service initiative. I had to reach out to a lot of different organizations to schedule events, to get to work with a lawmaker and advocate for policy. So it taught me a lot about my motivation and why I do what I do. And it's incredibly special.
What advice can you give the girls competing this summer for Miss California's team?
I have said this so many times, and I probably will never stop saying it because it's the greatest piece of advice I've ever gotten. It's run your own race. So I learned that from my executive director on the very first day of Miss California week, and I have held on to it ever since. It's about putting your best authentic self out there, and if the judges are looking for you, they will find you. So it's most important to worry about what you're going to do and visualize yourself doing well on the stage, and everything that happens after that is just by chance.
Yes. What you are obviously very well accomplished, very hardworking.
Thank you.
What inspires you to accomplish and do everything you're doing today? And you kind of touched on this earlier. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received from the people who inspire you?
I think being reminded to just be myself, that there's nobody better than myself, and there's nobody like me. So putting originality out there is really, really important to me in everything I do, whether that's in school or pageant life. I'm forever inspired by my mentors who have believed in me and the power of what I can do. So I try to bring that to the forefront of everything I've accomplished.
So yeah, so we kind of talked about this earlier, how you were competing during your senior year, which is a lot in
Yeah.
itself. So how do you take care of your own mental health, and what are your favorite ways to spend your days off and relax and do all of that?
Yeah. I actually don't get a ton of like full days off anymore with school, but I feel really lucky that I have my sorority and the clubs that I'm involved in on campus make it feel like even on the weekends when I'm busy, it doesn't really feel like work. So a lot of times I'll be hanging out with my little, who I just did reveal, which has been really exciting, or we'll be doing sisterhood events. I'll be volunteering for one of my school's clubs. But in my actual free time, I love to do Pilates, I love to swim and go to farmers markets with friends. So I'm busy, but I do find time to hang out with friends, which is always a good time.
I love the farmers market. I go
They're a
there
lot of
every Sunday with
fun.
my family. Yes, yes, yes.
Oh,
And the food is always fresh and it's delicious. So you just radiate this amazing
oh,
energy, and I
oh,
absolutely
thank
loved
you.
it. When I was watching, even Miss California's teen for the competition last year, and you were asking questions, you just have like this wonderful presence. What values do you live by, and where do you get them from?
Sure. I think that my biggest values kind of rolled into one sentence is the things that I can control in life are my attitude, my effort, how hard I work, and how well I treat people. And that's something I've lived by for my entire life. It's something that my parents have always taught me is that hard work puts you where good luck can find you. So if I work as hard as I possibly can, what's meant for me will come. And all I can do is try to reciprocate the same love and support I've been shown by my community to others.
You articulate your thoughts so
Oh, thank you
beautifully,
so much.
and you have so many like great quotes that I'm just like letting soak in my brain right now. Yes, truly a
Oh,
superstar
thank you. That's so
outside
sweet.
of the crown. So, my CSI, before I get into this next question, my CSI is Hearts of Hope, cultivating a culture of hope, kindness, and service. So it's really important to me that I'm teaching my audience the simple ways you can be kind. So I'd like to ask you, how do you practice being kind on the daily basis?
Yeah, I try to think about putting myself in the other person's shoes and showing a lot of compassion. I think in a really fast-paced world, especially as a college student, we're quick to, try to get things done quickly and make sure that everybody's where they need to be. And we kind of focus on ourselves a lot. So, especially when someone's having a hard time, I try to think about what they might be going through and kind of approach that and give people grace and compassion because I don't think we see as much as we should of that in the world.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And my last question, besides my rapid fires, is
Okay.
what kind of world do you hope to live in, and what service do you take to take steps towards this world? I hope that question made
Yeah,
sense.
Absolutely. For me personally, a cause that I really care about, as people probably know, is drowning prevention and water safety. And this has been something that's been a constant in my life before, during, and after the crown. So I'm still working as a lifeguard. I'm hoping to return for my fourth summer this year, but I'm hoping to ensure accessibility in aquatics. I'm actually applying to a fellowship that's asking me to develop a project. So I have some exciting plans that I'll hopefully get to put in motion soon
Ooh.
with that. But I think it's really, really important that everybody is able to enjoy access to water and ensure equity in aquatics.
We are so grateful for you and all the work
Aw,
that you're doing towards that cause. And I wish you all the best with your upcoming project.
thank you.
So, time for some rapid fires. What is your favorite phase of competition?
Interview. It's always been my favorite since I was 13. I love that I get to tell stories. I think that's one of my favorite things that I get to do as a performer, as a competitor, and getting to connect and share a little bit about myself is always special.
Yes. What is your hardest phase of competition?
Talent, because I get so excited to do my talent that I have to really remember to hit certain points. But it's also the most fun for me because I get to be my authentic self and say some really fun lines, and I love to watch my audience react to that.
Okay, a question that also just came up in my
Yeah.
head is do you prefer the personal interview or the onstage questions?
Personal interview, because on stage question, actually really fun story. So I tend to go long on stage questions sometimes. My final question at Miss California's team, my top 5 question, I actually got cut off by the ding in the middle. So if you watch the video, my face is like, oops. But so that's why I like personal interview a little bit better because I have a little bit longer.
Yes. And I am a huge foodie, so I need to know, what is your victory food?
Oh, I love this. Okay. So it's usually whatever's in the hotel. So at Miss America, my mom let me get room service after finals night, and it was 2 a.m. So they had the breakfast menu. So I ended up getting like a fruit plate. But at Miss California, and I did this when I was crowning my successor, there's an Applebee's right down the street from the hotel.
Ooh.
So we would get pretzel bites and a Shirley Temple for me. And that was dinner for more nights than I'd like to
Oh my
cop to.
gosh, I'm obsessed with Shirley Temples. I could drink
They're
them
so good.
literally forever. Okay, and finally, I am a huge quotes person. That's why I was very grateful for all of
Ah.
your answers because you're just filled with great ones. But what is your personal favorite quote?
Besides run your own race, because I already said that, that's always going to be like a special place in my heart. But I think Believe in Your Strength to Change the World by Bindi Irwin will always be incredibly special to me. I've admired her since I was little. She's a scientist and a conservation biologist. But I think that reminding ourselves that we do have the potential to change the world from our standing, um, and that we do have the power to impact change, even as young women, as students, and the possibilities are endless.
Yes. Oh my gosh. This was such a great interview. Thank you so much for spending time
Of
to talk
course.
with me today. Um, I don't see any further questions. So I just want to say thank you. Also, the whole audience, thank you for tuning in. You can also catch this episode on my YouTube channel, We Are Hearts of Hope, and follow Miss Marlie Wright and Miss Bay Area's teen, me, to keep updated for future episodes. Thank you all. Love you. Love you. See you
Thank
guys soon.
you.